Hi, everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Round Robin. I am your host, Tracy Preston, along with Christine Mulligan, Nina Mulligan, Angela Hafler, and my husband, Todd Preston. Hey, everyone.
Hey. Hi, y'all. What's up?
Hey, everybody.
I am in California this week, and this is my first time ever on vacation with just my daughters, and I am loving every moment of it. We're all a bit strong-willed and sassy, so sometimes there's those moments. But other than that, it's been really good. So I wanted to talk about what we did while I've been here real quick. And then, of course, as always, please feel free to jump in. So yesterday we went to Laguna. I've never been there. I've been here a handful of times. And we went to a place called Woods Cove Beach. It is small, but the cliffs and the rock formations were amazing. Now, I don't like crowded beaches. I never have. Even when I lived in Florida, I'm like, nope, nope, nope. I know the smaller beaches to go to. I don't like it, but it was a little hard to avoid. It's 4th of July weekend here, and all along the coast, it was jam-packed. And we didn't stay very long because there were some pretty big waves, and we were like legit on the beach for 10 minutes. You know, Lauren and I are sitting in our little chairs. Emily's on a blanket in front of us, and these people were like, yeah, you can sit in front of us. You just might get a little tickle on your feet with the water. And we're like, oh, yeah, no big deal. Well, the waves were rolling in pretty big, and before we knew it, Emily was soaked. Half the blanket was completely soaked. So we're like, we're out of here. Then we headed to San Clemente Pier, and we actually were able to get in the water there. But the waves are still pretty big, and like we get in there, and it was like, holy crap. Well, first I got knocked over by a wave. That was a first. But within seconds, we were like 100 feet pushed away from where we were, like where our, you know how you always keep where you're sitting in your mind's eye? We were like 100 feet down from there, like in a hot second, and we were getting pushed toward the pier. I'm like, guys, we got to get out. That was nuts. But it was a great day. And then, of course, Lauren mentioned that there's a Lululemon outlet, and that's all Emily could think about. That damn Lululemon. Of course we went. And their sales were unbelievable. But while I was there, right, there's this girl who was like, oh, hi, can I help you? I'm like, no, we're just looking, thanks. And she's like, oh, just letting you know that on Thursdays, if you're a resident, if you come back, you get 20% extra off. I'm like, well, I'm not really a resident. My daughter is though she lives here in Irvine, so she, of course, asked me where I'm from. And Christine, you're going to love this. I lifted up my left hand and pointed on my hand where we're from, and she's like, oh my God, I love that.
That's silly.
And the crazy thing is she has friends that live in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
That's awesome.
Small world, baby, small world. Have any of you guys ever been to LA?
Yes.
Of course. No. Nope.
Okay, well, I mean, I've been downtown LA. I wasn't really thrilled about it because, like, you know, the whole Walk of Stars thing, like, there's a certain portion, and I forget my coordinates if it's north or if it's south end, but it's pretty nasty. Like, the sidewalk is nasty. It smells like urine. But then you get a little bit closer to where the Chinese theater there, that's a more clean, you know, you have vendors all over the place, and that was fun. We did that. But I'm never, ever one to hop on the touristy stuff. Like, I want to do my own thing. Like, how do you guys feel about that? Like, do you like to go off and do your own thing, or like do a touristy thing?
My own thing. I like to do my own.
Yeah, and Christine, I have a feeling I know you would never do the touristy thing. Or would you?
No, I don't do I'm a self-actualized tourist. I go and check out all the things that the locals say that they go do.
Yeah.
I do check out tourist attractions, but I usually don't do the tour thing. It's not my style. It's not fast enough for me.
Yeah, me too. It's like, and I want to be in control.
Right.
Right? But you know what? I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to do it with the girls. So we did like this Access Hollywood bus tour thing. And the coolest part about it, it's like one of those buses where like you have like the canopy on top, but the sides are open. It was just us and then one other couple from the UK. I'm like, well, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah, so, our bus driver, he was cool, but I'm going to tell you right now, like, we're ripping up Mulholland Drive, and I'm telling you, ripping, because this dude was hauling ass. We're, like, going left, and we're going right, like, as he's going around these things, I'm like, oh, my God. Plus, there's, like, bikers biking up the road, and I'm like, you're going to be killed by somebody, maybe even us. But it was really cool. And apparently in Mulholland, like, the guy was asking us, like, if anybody ever played video games and plays Grand Theft Auto. Mulholland Drive is what he kept calling it Grand Theft Auto Drive because that's what it's based on. I didn't know that because I never played the game.
That's why he was driving
That's
so
so
fast,
cool.
probably.
Probably.
I know, but the girls are looking at me like, oh my God, he's going so fast. But the couple of cool things that we did, so of course, getting up into the mountains was cool. But we did go by a couple of mansions. So we went by J-Lo's old place, massive. We went up to the Playboy Mansion. Did you guys ever hear about the Talking Rock?
No.
So he's got this talking, and it's a big rock, and we pulled up in front of it because, of course, there's a gate, and then, the bushes, these high hedges, they've gotten so high you can barely see the mansion. Like, you can just see the tops of it. But there's a talking rock, and it has, like, a hole, and in that's how people would say who I am, like I'm president, whoever, or I'm this person or that person. And he's like, it's such a detailed high def thing that they can probably even count the hairs on your eyelashes. But that's how they would kind of like see who you are, hear who you are, and that's how you would gain access. So I got a picture of that rock. And then we also went by Bruno Mars's place, Katy Perry's place, and while we're in that area, he even took us by Puff Daddy's place, which I'm not a fan of him, period, but it's massive. And then, at one place we stopped and he was talking about the witch house. Oh, we've got to go see the witch house. I'm like, okay, now we are straight up in Beverly Hills. And there is this house. It looks very much like it should be in a studio lot. It's a witch's house. It looks every bit a witch's house. It's very free-formy. It's got blackbirds everywhere saying no trespassing. Smack dab in a Beverly Hills neighborhood. And he was telling us, like, when they were building it, like, they were protesting, throwing fruit at it. Because, I mean, how dare you build something like this in our neighborhood? So I thought that was interesting.
Goodness.
Yeah. And then, of course, after that, we rode up to the Hollywood sign and got pictures and all that kind of stuff. So that's just a quick synopsis of what we've done in the last couple of days. And it was fun. I've never done any of that thing before, but I still thought it was a cool experience. It was kind of fun to kind of see where these people live and all that, living the life of a life I'll never have, which is cool because I can't even imagine, like, you've got all this money, you have all these ginormous mansions, and you've got tour buses coming by, people coming by, like the traffic is nonstop. They're walking like on neighborhoods, like in the, he actually took us to the Menendez house because we had a chat that I do true crime. He's like, well, let's go. And I'm like, well, all right. So apparently there are people living there. So we talked about this before. And I talked about there being like a big fence and like that some kind of black material to kind of make it so you can't see in there. Well, they did that, I learned from this guy, when the new series came out on Netflix about the Menendez brothers, because the amount of people that drove to this mansion was ungodly. And people are living there, so I couldn't even imagine living there and being in those types of situations, whether it's the Menendez home or any of these wealthy homes like on the Maps of the Stars. You have no privacy. I would never live, if I had that kind of money, I would never live in Beverly Hills or this area.
Agreed.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to.
Nope.
Hell, we live in a fishbowl right now.
I know, just living on the corner. I hate it. I want privacy, man. I would be in some, I don't know, go to Montana. Have a bunch of acreage there. That'd be fun.
Nantucket.
Nantucket. So I want to give a huge shout out to our listeners in Queensland, I'm not sure how they say it, Australia. I see you guys, and thank you for listening every week. We're getting huge numbers from Queensland. So thank you. I appreciate you guys so much. And speaking of Australia, they lost one of their own on July 2nd. Julian McMahon. I don't know if you guys know him. I'm going to throw out a couple things that he was in. I clearly remember him. He was only 56 years old, and he had lost his battle with cancer. Now, when my oldest was quite young, or younger, the two of us used to watch Charmed. Did you guys ever watch Charmed?
Yeah, of course.
I freaking loved it. He was the demon boyfriend.
Yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah.
Who's this guy?
His name is Julian McMahon. So he played the demon boyfriend in Charmed. Real tall, handsome guy. He was also in a show called Nip Tuck. I don't know if you guys ever watched that. I watched that a little bit.
Okay.
Yep, he was in The Residence, FBI Most Wanted. He played Dr. Doom in Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yep, and Profiler. So rest in peace, man. Very sad. He was very young. Now, with the 4th of July just passing, I used to love to go and see the fireworks. I mean, it was kind of the thing to do, right? Oh, ooh, ah. You know, I've seen them over, the water in Florida. That was fun. Or, you just go out anywhere, and that's the family thing to do. I mean, isn't that how we all grew up?
Yeah. My dad used to, he'd get like the variety packs. We'd all go out to the driveway, and of course, he was the only one that could light them off, so we all had to sit and watch my dad have fun, lighting them all off and stuff. But kind of turned into my dad when it came to fireworks, because I started doing that too. I was like, no, I'm in charge of the fireworks. You guys just sit back and watch the show.
Yeah, you got to play dad. Well, I started thinking about, with all the fireworks going off around the country and how I used to feel about it and all the sparkles in the sky and the booms and all that fun thing as a kid, my brain started thinking about lots of things I won't go into, but I also started thinking about this can't be good for the environment. So I looked it up, and they're so bad. They create highly toxic gases which poison our air, water, and soil. Now, according to the American Pyrotechnics Association, also called APA, the latest data is collected from 2021, where Americans bought and launched more than, get ready for this number, 428 million pounds of fireworks. That's pretty sobering.
It's crazy.
Ever wonder what particles are released? You ready for this?
Is it?
All the bad ones.
All the bad ones.
Are you going to say poop particles?
Nope, no poop particles. All right, so we've got sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, aluminum, manganese, cadmium, and some even contain lead. Now, these tiny particles can become deeply embedded in the lungs and even enter our bloodstream, which can affect decreased lung function, increase respiratory distress, aggravate those with asthma, COPD, those with irregular heartbeats such as atrial fibrillation, atrial flutter, and can also increase the risk of heart attacks. This is 2025, man. Can't we do better? I mean, what kind of alternatives could you guys think of? I mean, this is an old tradition, and who says that it has to still be this time? I mean, we could still have the tradition, but something I was thinking about was like, why couldn't we do like really cool laser shows that could mimic that stuff?
Okay, well, laser shows can happen, but unfortunately, you gotta be careful with that because you can like blind planes and things like that. But I saw a few things on the TikTok, and I think we're going to move into, and I think this is really cool, a drone show.
Yeah.
Where they have hundreds of drones up in the sky, and they make patterns, and they do, like, morphine into different things and stuff like that to the music. So I feel like eventually that'll probably be what we do.
I find that interesting.
Cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. Look it up. It's really neat.
Well, I was watching a video the other day. It was some concert, and it was an orchestra concert. And inside the auditorium, they had drones that were moving to the music as it was being played. And I was like, that is fucking cool.
So are the drones like lit up? I'm having a hard time grasping this and seeing it.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, like, if you were to think about, like, if you were to watch a big billboard, you know, that had, like, the pixelated kind of things, and that's basically what it is in the sky. Each drone has a light pattern on it, and they just program it to run, like, a specific routine, and with that changes the colors. So it's, like, infinite possibilities. They can do letters, they can do shapes, they can do actual images, so... It's really cool.
I'm totally down with that because they're battery operated, right? There's no gas.
Yeah.
I think that's where we need to go.
Well, can we? All right. Well, then I will be the voice of get your hands off my fireworks. How about we worry about all the crap that's in food first before we worry about my little pyromaniac discharge of some illuminary gloriousness up in the skies once a year? How about that? How about you just shush?
Did you just shush me?
Yes, I shushed you.
No.
Shush.
I think she did.
I refuse. I'm on Nina's train because we really, I mean, what? Are you the one? Are you the one in control then?
Fix my Doritos first. Make Doritos edible again for me, and then we can talk about freaking pyromaniacs, okay?
Yeah,
Wait.
but here's the thing, too. I think it will also be really cool because as we become more aware of, like, neurodivergence and autism, that is a day of torture for them. My brother hated fireworks. He hated the noise. There's lots of people that cannot participate in that. You know, in a live scenario, of course, I'm sure they can watch it on TV, but who wants to do that? That's boring, you know? So, I don't know. I think this might be a way where I'm sure we're not going to get rid of traditional fireworks altogether, but it could be a cool way to bring even more people out into the community to be able to enjoy something like that.
I resonate with everything you're saying because, I mean, our poor Sarge, I mean, I can only see what he goes through. You know, Todd's been double dosing him with his medication, and still the poor thing just cowers and huffs and like he's like he's hyperventilating. I'm like, my dog is gonna have a freaking heart attack because it goes on for days.
He'll run from one end of the house to the other looking for a place to hide, something to get under.
Maybe just going with the drones and playing really great music.
Yeah.
I don't totally disagree with you, but at the same time, like, I don't feel like this is a priority thing. I feel like fixing Doritos in America to be edible and not charged in it.
My God.
Like, that's a higher priority.
Sound like a Dorito crap person.
I'm just saying, I'm upset that I can't eat them anymore now that I've found out what's in them in America. It's just horrible because I like me some Doritos and now I can't eat them.
I need to know what's going on.
The ingredients in hot dogs.
Oh my God. You know, I don't eat hot dogs either because I'm not into rat tail and byproducts. I'm just not into it. So there's a lot. That's what I'm saying. Okay, fix my food first before we worry about my pyromaniacs. Okay.
Well, all right. So, in fact, last night I made walking tacos, which include Doritos. So now I really need to know what is going on with Doritos because those are my favorite. What's up?
I know. I love Doritos too. Spicy nacho.
All sorts of phosphates and nitrates and red dye 40. I mean, more than 3/4 of the ingredients and most of American food is banned in the rest of the world. So if you go over to Europe, their Doritos only have 6 ingredients in them. But if you look at a bag of Doritos over here, there's like 58.
It's a paragraph.
And most of them you can't get them out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so all of our listeners in Australia, enjoy those Doritos for me. Because apparently they're healthier over there than they are over here. And they're toxic AF in America. And that makes me mad. And it makes my fat cells want to revolt. I want my Doritos back. And unfortunately, I have to go to Europe or Australia to eat Doritos.
I want my Doritos.
Me too. So have you stopped eating them?
Yes.
Oh,
That and
man.
Mountain Dew. I used to love me some Mountain Dew every once in a while, too, and I can't drink that either because it had high-octane chemicals in it, apparently. And all of this I learned from my friends across the pond. They schooled me on how different their stuff is than our stuff in America. And I'm like, holy crap. Here I
I
am.
can tell you what, it's not going to taste the same over there, though.
No, probably wouldn't, but still. So that just makes me more mad that they got me addicted to chemicals. I'm just really mad about it, okay, Tom? But that was the whole point, though.
That's the problem with our food system, is that it's more about psychological science than it is actual nutrition. And
that's why we're all fat.
That's why we're all fat. That's why we all have diabetes. That's why we all have high blood pressure.
And
these
cancer.
chemicals are shaping and altering, our physical DNA. So, yeah.
All for the American dollar.
Yep.
Well, I'm like super bummed because we have a half a bag of Doritos left. I'm still going to eat those, though.
You know what? I'm not going to boycott Doritos. I'm going to eat the shit out of those. I don't care.
Especially the spicy dill.
Oh, no. It's the queso ones I'm into right now.
Yeah. They got that jalapeno back flavor.
Oh, yeah.
I'll think about it.
That bag's gone.
I'm not boycotting them because if I'm at a party or somebody else buys them, I'm sneaking a few. But then I'm brought with personal failure.
Right. You feel bad about it for a minute. Oh, I'm super sad. Well, and there's all kinds of crazy shit. What was it? I saw something about a children's Tylenol or something like that had E. coli in it. What? There's all kinds of craziness going on with the food. We just got to get back to growing our own food.
Oh my God, it's so much work.
It is a lot of work, but you know what's in it.
But worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, I'm sad.
I'm not a homesteader. Let's just put it that way. I'm not a good homesteader, and I'm not loving the prospects of that being my only option.
I know.
Well, the thing is, too, honestly, the soil here, you really can't get away with that in Florida. The soil here is crap, and it's mostly sand. So that's a very expensive endeavor.
It is.
There's not a lot of people that just have disposable income to drop $800 to start a victory garden. You know what I'm saying? And that's how much you would be spending, because you have to do it raised here, and you have to cover it because there's all sorts of foxes and cranes and bunnies and deer that will eat your shit. So it's cumbersome.
It is. Right. Or,
It's the same way up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, my victory garden would be a failed misery.
You'd be living on tomatoes.
There'd be no victory in my garden.
Hydroponics. Buy PVC, hang that shit, and do hydroponics.
Okay, Miss Homesteadess.
I'm learning.
The Empress of Homesteading.
This is only what? This is our second year having a garden?
That's our third year.
It's our third year. Yep. I'm into it. I love it. But, I mean, we have raised beds because our dirt actually in our yard is kind of crappy. It's silty. It's not very nutrient rich. So we have little beds, but, produces a lot of food.
Yeah.
So I'm into it.
It's funny because we go out just to check on the garden. We go out there like old folks and just kneel down and talk to the plants and, oh, what do we got here? Oh, we got another pepper.
Yeah, look at you. Oh, thank you. You did so good today. It's like talking to that.
Yep.
It's like talking to that Herman cake or the sourdough cakes. You got to talk to that shit every day. You got to put the love into it. So I came across this thing that happens in Greece. It's a tradition of oil wrestling.
Ooh.
I know where your mind went. That's not it. It involves men. Yeah.
Oh, Roman Greco.
Right. So they wear like leather. They call them shorts, but I watched it. They're pants. Leather pants. And then they just put like oil all over their body. Olive oil, vegetable oil, probably olive oil over there. And then they wrestle. They're like, it's not as easy as you think it would be. I'm like, no shit. But I would pay to go see that. That would be fun.
It would be fun.
Yep. Now in Sweden, They have, I just saw this, they have a museum of tiny homes. And it's not like tiny people homes, it's mice homes. And all I can think about is Stuart Little, that cute little mouse. And they built his little home for him, you know how cute that was. So apparently, over the last 10 years, all along the streets of Sweden, they would put these little homes, and they're like, kind of reminds me of like little brownstones. They even have, scenery where you've got streets with graffiti and all kinds of stuff. So they've been doing this for like 10 years, but now they put them all like in a big museum because I guess this project is coming to a close. And I thought, oh my God, that would be so cute. That would be so fun.
No, I don't like mice.
I don't like them either, but the homes would be fun to look at.
Yeah.
That would be cute.
Yeah. And in Britain, they are celebrating 200 years of modern railways. Railways. And they have this special train, and each car has like all the different years of that point in time. So this train is actually heading out on like a 12-month exhibition tour, and it's starting out in Paddington Station. And it's going to visit like 60 different places in the UK. I thought that would be fun to do.
That's cool.
Yeah, like
That is
some of these cars.
That does sound fun.
Yeah, like some of these cars have like interactive displays and all kinds of stuff on them. And I love trains. Trains are cool. Have you guys ever been like, minus like Christine, I know like subways and all that, but that's a little bit different. But have you guys ever like been on a real train trip?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it a trip, but they do have a train that goes from downtown Winter Park to Mount Dora, and you used to be able to do birthday parties on it. So we did that one year for my friend's 8th birthday party. I do remember that.
And it stuck with you all this time, probably quite vivid.
Yeah, it's fun. It's super fun. I keep telling her I want to take, they have a $50 ticket to Miami. And I told her if we ever go out on a cruise from the Miami port, I want to take the train down there.
That would be super fun. And Angela, you said you've done it as well?
Yeah, when the girls were little, Riley was obsessed with trains. So their grandmother bought tickets for the North Pole Express that is in Lansing that goes up north. And we went on that, and it was a steam engine powered train. That was super cool.
Oh, I would love that. Do they call it the Polar Express, or they call it something else?
They call it the Polar Express. They actually punch the tickets. They give the kids a bell. They do the hot cocoa. They do the whole thing. But it's super cool.
Where do you pick that up at? Do you remember?
I can't remember, but I can find the link to it and share it with you.
Yeah, find me the link and send that over, and I'll put that in the show notes. I've seen that before. I just can't remember. But I would love to do that. Not sure if Emily thinks she's too big for it, but she's going. Or maybe Todd and I will just go.
At a Lululemon shop she'll want to go.
I know we'll have to lie.
Right?
There's a Lululemon outlet on the way. What? She'll be in. Yeah, I did one when Lauren and I were moving from South Florida up to Pennsylvania. We took the car train, where you can actually load up your car, and then it takes you from Florida to Washington. And I just thought it was so cool because you get to see all these places a car can't get to. The scenery is beautiful. But when we were in, I think we weren't even on the road long. I want to say we were in Georgia. And of course, I ended up getting super sick. And we were stuck there for 24 hours because there was an old bridge, and the tracks gave way, and there was a big train accident. Thank God it wasn't our train, but we had to stay on the train. They would not let you off the train, and it was hot. The windows don't open, that kind of a thing. But I was like, oh my God, that's nuts. But still, it was still a great experience. I would love to do that again, especially like in the mountains. That would be super fun.
Yes. Well, when I went on a train ride, it was in California, and I went from Southern California all the way up to Northern California, and it was cool because it was, went through the mountains and the hills and stuff. But the really cool thing was most of it was right on the coastline, so you could see the ocean almost the whole time.
That's cool. There's actually a train. Lauren takes that. I can't remember where she said her and Mitch grab it, but it takes you to San Clemente to the pier where we were. That would be a beautiful view as well, Todd, because they get to see, like you said, all the coastline. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, last week I was working in Georgia, drove there, drove back, and I remember, hun, you said, hey, did you see the fireballs? I didn't. But Christine and Nina, did you guys see any of the fireballs in the sky about a week and a half ago?
Actually, I thought I was seeing one, but then it ended up just being another shuttle taking off. And I was like, that's not falling, that's going up.
Yeah, that's not right.
I didn't see it.
That's in reverse.
But it was like a full-on, like it was really bright and it was really big. So I don't know what the deal was with that shuttle, but it looked like a fireball shooting out from the Earth instead of opposite.
Right. Well, apparently it was a meteor that's named Bolide. And there are pieces of this meteor found on the ground in Georgia. NASA determined it was about the size of a shopping cart, and it was first spotted in Oxford, Georgia, where it then broke, which they say the energy from this equaled about 20 tons of TNT. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, people said they reported hearing extremely loud booms. It was spectacular. I've seen some video on the internet, and I was just like, holy crap, that's nuts. Because I do remember hearing not long ago that there was a meteor coming straight at us. This must have been it. Their calculations, if this is the one they were talking about, was way off because this should have happened like over a month ago. So interesting and kind of frightening. If that little bugger made it in.
Yeah, because if they tell us one's coming, it could be in a month, though. We don't know.
It's going to take us by surprise, which I guess I'd rather have a surprise. If we're all just going to end, then let it happen. Boom, be done.
And that was just the size of a shopping cart.
Yeah, could you imagine?
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely nuts. Nina, you wanted to say something about Monday's show, about Dr. Kevorkian?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you posed the question, like, why is it illegal to kill yourself, like if you want to? And I think it's because of capitalism. Like, if you think about it, in the United States, because assisted suicide, by the way, is very common and prevalent in other countries, and it's considered humane and like a necessity at the end of someone's life. The thing is that when you're born here in America, because we are a capitalistic society, you're given a number when you're born. And that number is basically like your chattel. You belong to the government in a sense. And so when you have that, you have grasshoppers that work at the top, and then you have the ants. And unfortunately, the way that America is set up, as the ants, we really just don't have the kind of autonomy that we think we do. And I think that a lot of the reason why they don't allow us to do that is because we're their workforce. So if we take matters into our own hands and our lives into our own hands, and if you think about it, as much freedom as we think we have, we really don't have that much freedom. I mean, you have to get a license to fish, you have to get a license to drive, you have to go into contracts to be married. Your whole life is basically a transaction. And so the people at the top are the ones that decide what the people below you are going to do. And then you add a layer of moral quandary on top of that, because we have a huge Christian base here in America, and you can't argue with those people because those principles that they hold dear to cannot be argued by anybody or science. So we have two things working against us, and I think if people were just going to take a moment to realize that we are just kind of like a cog in the wheel. I know that sounds incredibly like feudalistic, but in essence, that's what we are. We are chattel to oligarchs. So I know that's a conspiracy kind of craziness that I usually bring to the table, but when I heard you say that, I was like, yeah, because we are property. We are property of the United States of America because the United States of America is a corporation. It's the truth. We're a corporate entity. So
she took the Kevorkian chatter to go real deep and wide.
Yeah. Because people should have the right to be able to do what they want with their body. Period. The end. You know, if you feel like your time on Earth is better spent not breathing, then you should be able to do that. You know? I don't know how you regulate that. I mean, yes, there are people that would take advantage of that, but it's either the person does it safely or the person's just going to do it themselves regardless. So why not make it something that can be comfortable and safe for everybody?
I think that is a really good perspective, Nina, that I never even thought about. I can't go against what you said, to be honest.
I mean, if you take a look at other countries that have more of a socialistic system, you know, their main priority is making sure that their citizens are healthy, have a roof over their head, you know, have assistance when needed, and they leave people alone for the most part. But that's because they're being run by people who care about people, and corporations don't care about people, they care about profit. So if you die, you die. They don't care. They'll just replace you with somebody else. So, you know, I don't know. It's a tough subject because I too understand that that's a slippery slope because not everybody's going to be in it for the right reasons. And it opens up a can of worms for somebody who wants to be a serial killer, and they'd be like, oh, well, these people said they wanted to die, you know? So I helped them along. So I don't know how you iron that out, but
yeah, except their process is painful.
Yeah, it's definitely something I think other states, like you mentioned, are starting to, you know, allow it and stuff like that. And honestly, you know, as people, we should have the right to that. As long as it's not harming somebody else, it should be all right.
Well, thank you for your perspective. Like I said, I didn't think of that before, and it is conversational stimulating. It should be taking our brains in a different direction because things aren't always cut and dry how we think and everyone should feel, from Catholicism to Christianity. I mean, if any one of those groups of people had a family member that they loved or a friend that they loved watch suffer, I think that they would feel a little bit different. How do you guys feel about all of that? I mean, Christine and I, you know, we kind of talked about a few things, but I mean, and you don't have to comment if you don't want to. If it's an uncomfortable situation, that's totally fine. Or if you guys just want to sit with it and think about it, but I really do appreciate your perspective on that, Nina, so thank you. And I'm sure it'll resonate with a lot of people who listen to the show.
Well, I know that when I was, you know, younger and when all that was happening, I myself my perspective of him was like, yeah, I agree with that. Like, people who are suffering, they don't want to be a burden to their families, or they don't want, you know, the one guy that he actually did the euthanasia himself, he had Lou Gehrig's disease and he was choking on his own spit. He couldn't move his hands. He was suffering so badly and he just wanted to go, you know, and his family, they felt the same way. And I feel like in situations like that, I feel like it should be that person's choice. We do the same thing with our animals. We don't want them to suffer, you know, so why should it be any different for a human?
Agreed.
That's how I feel about it.
Agreed.
I remember when I was, I had been just getting out of the Marine Corps when all that was going down. I was kind of learning about myself for the first time, but I remember thinking the same thing, you know, with what, on the lines that Angela was saying. It was like, geez, why do we put our animals down that are suffering, but we can't allow the people that we care about the most to die peacefully without pain. You know, it just didn't make sense to me, and for it to be on the news and to see it all the time, because it was everywhere. I mean, you couldn't turn on a TV without seeing the story unfold in front of your eyes, and it was like, this is crazy. It was a crazy thing at the time, and I think it affected me to the point where it was like, this is not a matter of your religious belief. beliefs. This is a matter of how we should be as a human race. I mean, are we not letting people go for our own selfish reasons? Are we wanting them to suffer because we want them to still be here?
Great point.
That's kind of like jumping off of what Nina said about how it's a capitalistic venture by keeping them here. And Tracy and I, when we were doing the show, we did kind of touch on all different perspectives, but we were focusing on, as nurses, we kind of, the whole hospice care thing. But kind of jumping off of Nina's perspective, maybe that is a factor, is that we kind of need patients as cogs in the wheel to pay for, their medicine, which leads us to a whole nother conversation about America, how it is a capitalistic venture, medicine itself, whereas in most parts of the world, it's a human right. But in America, it's a capitalist venture.
Yeah, and that's stimulating me to think about, my God, let's think about what a single day in ICU or CCU costs.
Right. Hey, you're not making money. People are sick.
Yeah, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. I couldn't even imagine. Just our open heart patients, just your week, like standard 3-4 days, maybe a week, 2 weeks, a month. We've had, hundreds of thousands of dollars just for that one patient. It's mind blowing. Oof, this is a whole nother avenue. Great.
Yeah, that's a whole nother can of worms, but that makes me feel icky. Being in medicine, especially as a nurse, us nurses, we just want to help. We have the empathy in it.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you think about the big business aspect of it, it is devoid of empathy. And that's a whole nother can of worms.
It really is. Wow.
Like we said on the show, it's a full spectrum, and you really have to back up, way far back up, to see the full picture.
Agreed. And thanks again, Angela. When you told me that you were going to do that story, I was like, oh yeah. And I'm so glad that you did, because I learned things I didn't know before. And especially after years and years of, it sitting in the back of my brain, it makes me see things completely differently. I always did. My heart always went with that, ending the suffering. Thank you so much. Thank you, because now hopefully others will hear it and they'll think about it. No knee jerks. Just sit with it.
Right.
Love it. Thank you,
Causing
Nina.
awareness.
Yep. Thank you so much, Angela, and thank you, Nina, for bringing that back up, because, boy, is this a big area of open conversation that I think needs to be had. It is time for Round Robin Recommendations. Angela?
So I have one. It's on Paramount Plus, though. It's not on Netflix, but it is another Billy Bob Thornton show. It's called Landman, and it's all about the roughnecks, the oil rigs and all of that. And it's really interesting. Like, you get to see how the oil rigs work, and they talk about how it affects the economy and the planet. So that's my recommendation today. It's pretty cool.
So is that a documentary with Billy Bob Thornton?
It's a series. It's kind of awe-inspiring, because there's places where there's just literally nothing but oil rigs and the big turbines. They will buy the land, or they'll lease the land to do the oil drilling, but at the same time they're also doing the wind turbines, and it's a totally different company. There's several different kinds of companies that work on this land. It's crazy. It's interesting.
Well, it sounds very interesting, because the whole fracking business is what it does to, our planet.
Yes.
It's pretty brutal. So I'm definitely interested in that. Thank you. Nina, what you got?
This week has been a week, so we haven't really watched too much TV or anything, but the two things that we have seen a little bit of over the past 2 weeks, because we're lesbian AF, of course we had to watch Queer Ultimatum, which I don't know if that's even on your guys' radar, because it's really kind of a really dumb show. However, it is interesting, and we did have a lot of conversations about relationships and what would bring anybody in a relationship to the point of going on a reality TV show with the ultimatum of marry me or let's call it quits. Like, if you get to that point, you should definitely call it quits. Like, we don't understand the whole premise of the show, so it's not that we're recommending it, but it is fodder for conversations and discussions. So we have watched that. Don't know if I'd recommend it, but it is a good conversation to be had about relationships, be them queer or regular,
But
heteronormative.
I think that's the most important part too, because we have a lot of Love Island and Trader and like dating shows and stuff on that spectrum. And so I feel like if you are a hetero person, maybe you do watch it. And maybe if you think that
Relationships are
being gay somehow is different than heterosexuality, then watch these, because every person has the same problems. It doesn't matter.
relationships are relationships.
Relationships are relationships. So if nothing else, it just kind of gives you a perspective of, it's just like any other relationship. There's trouble, and then there's good times, and you have to work at it.
Yeah, and I think all those relationship reality shows are dumb AF. So it's not that I recommend any of them, but they're good conversations to be had about the people that choose to go on these reality shows. But the other one I would recommend, if you like timepiecey kind of things that we did get to see a few of, it's on HBO. It's called, what is it called?
Buccaneers. We watched Buccaneers, and the second season just came out.
Yeah, Buccaneers. We're watching Buccaneers. That's what we're working on. And if you like timepiecey kind of thing, the whole London royalty era, duchesses and dukes and all that crap, it's kind of like on par with that. So it's a good, easy watch. Nothing too serious. And that's what we're watching.
Awesome. I love that kind of stuff. I think I'll check them both out. And I do find it interesting. It's like, why would you put your life like that on TV? So I'm with you guys. It's weird. And I don't care if you're straight or gay or whatever. A relationship is a relationship, period.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's strange how our culture has gone to that level of where we're just airing all of our stuff like that. I don't know. I find it interesting.
But I think that's good, because that's how conversations get started. And when you see representation, when you see people that are going through the same things as you, I think that helps a lot of people wake up and either realize whatever they're doing isn't good for them, or perhaps they find in themselves, oh, well, that sounds a lot like me, and that's what my partner's always complaining about. Maybe, because like when you're hearing it from your partner, there's an element there that's always personal. And so there is, I think for most people, your first reaction is to be defensive. But sometimes when you're seeing it played out in front of you, then you're a little bit more receptive, and you can just kind of quietly contemplate to yourself, oh, well, maybe I have a little bit of that, and maybe I should work on that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it gives you that lens that you don't, like if you're watching it happen with someone else and then you sit back and think, oh, helps you kind of move in a different direction because it's not always working. Love it.
I just think everybody needs to find their own kind of weird, whatever that weird is, and that's your person.
Yeah, because I think that's even the bigger picture. We've gotten to the point where we've made it like this thing, like once you make a decision, you can never like stray from that decision, or something is morally wrong with you. The fact is like if you spend 10 years with somebody and you're not committed to them, like on that level,
keep it moving.
Just why are you doing it anymore? Like, I don't understand that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I agree. What about you, hon?
Well, we had just made friends recently with Brian McVeigh, the owner of Awaken Haunt, and I was kind of scrolling through his Facebook page, and a few years ago, he was promoting a movie that one of his friends was in, and it's called Angel Baby. And his friend, who's the star of the movie, her name's Isabel Cueva, I want to say. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. Cueva, but it's a thriller kind of slash scary movie, and it's got a really good twist at the end. But I was very impressed with the movie and the actors. Rebecca De Mornay's in it. She's got kind of a small part. She plays the local bartender, but I can't give too much of the story away. But Just to give you an idea, the very beginning of the movie starts out with a couple of young kids, a brother and a sister, and they're home alone with their dad, who is very abusive, and he's mad at the kids for one reason or another, and he's going to beat the boy, and the little girl kills the dad with a hammer. She smashes the hell out of his skull on the kitchen floor. Well, that's how the movie starts.
Oh, wow. It sounds like my kind of movie.
Yeah, it was a great movie, and it had a really good plot, and it had a nice little twist at the end where it was like, oh.
I love a plot twist. Well, I have two, and one I wasn't going to talk about, but Nina and Christine, you made me think about it with the relationship show. So a very good friend of mine, Anne, she watches this series on Paramount Plus called Couples Therapy. And so just kind of like what you guys are talking about is it makes you look at how other couples are because they come in with their real problems. And the bottom line, what I get out of it is the trauma, like the problems we're having in our relationships is all formed by how you grew up. Maybe there was trauma, or maybe this is how your parents did it, or whatever. So I find that very interesting. So it's called Couples Therapy on Paramount Plus, and the therapist, she's a psychoanalyst. Her name's Orna. So my friend Anna and I always say, well, what would Orna do? So I love that one. And then this other one, Todd and I started it. This is on Netflix. And then last night, Lauren and I started it, and it is called Fred and Rose West, a British horror story. It's nuts. Now, this is a true British horror story of Fred and Rose West. They were married, and they would abuse, rape, and murder young women and girls, including their own children. They were arrested in 1994 after police obtained a search warrant, excavating their property, and it just started with one big cement tile being pulled up in the garden after the other. And it all kind of really started with, where's your daughter? Like, their daughter disappeared. They never reported it. 8 years later, they finally get this warrant, and this guy is a wacko. And his wife is wacko as well. But it ended up being a total of 12 murders. It's nuts. So I definitely recommend it. I can't remember how many episodes and how many seasons there are, but it's good. So I wanted to recommend that. All right, well, that's our show for today, guys. Thank you so much for listening. As always, we appreciate you. And we will see you guys all back on Friday for F-Bomb. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Adios.
Bye.